Hi guys, sorry I couldn't be with you in person for today's session, but here is a fresh pre-recording of Power Yoga. This week's session is going to be 45 minutes long because that's actually how long classes are meant to be. I didn't realise that, and because it's a little bit hotter, it's going to be 45 minutes. So there'll be a little bit of weight bearing on wrists and knees. So if you want to have a blanket at hand to put onto your knees, feel free to. Equally, feel free to adjust any of the poses any way that you would like to make them comfier, or you can skip them out completely, and please don't do them if it doesn't feel right at all. And I'll keep flowing through the whole session, but at any point you want to stop for a drink, you absolutely can. It might be quite hot this session. So with that being said, we are going to get started. So we're going to start in an easy seated position, just for a quick little meditation. I've just set a timer on my phone, otherwise I'll have no idea. There we go. So any easy seated position that feels good for you. This can be kneeling or thunderbolt position, having legs crossed, and if you prefer to, you can absolutely lie down on your back as well. You do not actually have to stay seated. So once we've come into a comfortable seated position, we're going to start our class with a little meditation. So if it feels right for you, we're going to gently close our eyes and start to begin our yoga session. Just taking a couple of lovely deep breaths. Allowing that breath to just roll through you. Taking this moment to just settle down and allow your day to disappear. Just bringing the awareness to the different parts of your body. Feeling that lengthening through your spine, your seat bones, or your shins pressing into the ground. Feeling the contact of your legs or the ground beneath your hands. And just staying here for a couple of minutes, feeling that contact at these different parts of your body. Absorbing and being aware of that touch. Feeling that grounding connection. And then just allowing yourself to be still here for a little moment. And if your mind wanders, that is okay, that is normal. Just gently bring your focus back to your breath or the ground beneath you. And allow your mind to settle again. And then when you're ready, we're going to softly open our eyes. And we're going to start to begin to move and stretch. So today's session, we're going to very much be looking at, we're going to be doing a bit of everything. It's going to be quite a fast flow. So very much the power in power yoga. And we're going to be looking quite a lot at quite twisty poses. So just getting into that. So we're going to start, if it feels comfy, just coming into a tabletop position. And just thinking about that alignment, having our wrists gently under our shoulders, our knees under our hips. And we're going to roll into a little cat-cow. So inhaling and exhaling through it, taking it as big or small as you'd like. Stretching it out. And then if it feels good, maybe adding a bit of shimmying or a bit of circling, just freestyling this stretch. Moving through it. I'm just getting into all these little nooks and crannies. Maybe doing a bit of tail wagging. And then coming back to that cat-cow, we're going to stay here for a couple more breaths. And as you're doing this cat-cow, we're going to start to connect a little bit more to your diaphragm and your core. So inhaling in as you arch your back and really bringing your attention to softening your stomach, allowing it to release and open. And then as you exhale into the cat, really hugging the navel in, almost exaggerating it, almost pumping that air out. And then inhaling in and releasing and expanding. Before then exhaling back out, hugging your navel in. I'm going to keep flowing through this a couple more times. But as you're exhaling, almost pumping your navel in to almost create quite a sharp exhalation and bringing that kind of contraction and that core awareness to your body. If that doesn't feel nice, ease up off it and just simply connect to your core. And we're going to keep doing this a couple more times. And then when you're ready, we're going to start to soften that breath, relaxing it back to normal. And then taking the knee, sorry, I was jumping ahead then. Keeping the knees into your hips. We're going to maybe walk the hands out in front a little bit, and we're going to stretch them out into an extended puppy dog. So keeping hips up off the knees, stretching arms down, bringing forehead to ground, taking that stretch. And then lifting the head up a little bit, we're going to roll the head through. And we're going to gently lower onto our front into Sphinx. And from here, we're going to inhale up into that back bend. Wonderful. And then exhaling, lowering back down, we're going to bring the hands either side of our chest. And we're going to push ourselves back up, coming back into a little extended child's pose. And then we're going to take it into a little side stretch. So gently lifting those hands up and walking them over to the right before lowering down and taking that stretch there. And then gently lifting the head up, bringing the hands back to center and then taking them over to the left before then lowering down and taking that stretch again. And then we're going to bring the hands back to center. And we're going to gently draw ourselves back up to center. Perfect. So from here, we're going to kind of do a little side stretch variation. And this puts a little bit of pressure on your knees. So feel free to miss this out if it doesn't feel good. Or equally, you can put a blanket under your knees. But we're going to come into a kneeling position. But we're going to bring our hips, our buttocks up off our heels. And then we're going to stretch our right leg out. Nice and long, toes on the ground. And then keeping the right hand on the top of the thigh, we're going to inhale that left arm up. And then we're going to exhale, taking it into a side stretch. Wonderful. And perhaps taking that gaze up onto that elbow. And then we're going to come back up to center. And we're going to very mindfully, maybe bringing that top hand to hip, lower that left hand down to the ground. And if it feels good, we're going to draw that right leg up, coming into a side plank variation. holding a breath here. And then if it feels good, again, we're going to take it a bit further. We're going to bend that right knee. So we're bringing that foot back behind, and then we're going to bring the right hand back behind. And then we're going to gently come into a little side dancer's pose, taking a stretch here. And then we're going to softly release, coming back to that side plank, engaging that core. Whoa. And then lowering down, rolling back through to kneeling. Wonderful. And taking the knees nice and wide, exhaling down through beat to extended child's pose. Taking a breath here. And then we're going to come back up to kneeling, and we're going to take that to the other side. So coming up onto our knees and stretching out that left leg this time. And same again, we're going to bring that left hand down the leg. Bit out of breath. We're going to inhale that right arm up, and then we're going to exhale, folding over gently. Wonderful, taking in that stretch. And then same again, almost like a windmill, very mindfully, we're going to lower that hand down, and then we're going to exhale, drawing that left leg up, and if it feels good, taking that left arm up as well, holding it for a beat. And then we're going to bend again that left knee, so that foot is back behind, coming towards our buttocks. And then we're going to bring that left hand back behind, taking a hold of that foot, and maybe gently pressing that foot into that hand, coming into a little side stretch here. And then from here, we're going to softly come back up to kneeling. Wonderful. And then we're going to inhale, drawing those arms up, big stretch. And then maybe tucking those toes under back behind. We're going to gently exhale, bringing that left hand back to maybe the heel, taking the hand up to the right hand, and then coming back up to center. Exhale, other side. And feel free to bring your hands to your hips if that feels better. Just listening to your body, and then coming back up. And then we're going to rain our hands down, coming into a tabletop position. So from here, when we're ready, tucking the toes under, we're going to inhale in. And then as we exhale, we're going to come into that baby plank. So drawing the knees up off the ground and holding it there for a little bit longer than I am. Breathing into your core. And then when we're ready from here, lowering knees nice and wide to the ground, toes together, stretching back, extended child's pose. And then we're going to inhale back up to tabletop. And we're going to come into that mini plank again. So tucking the toes under, inhaling in. And then as we exhale, pressing into the toes, we're going to bring the knees up off the ground a couple of centimeters again. And we're going to keep holding it again, connecting to that core. Wonderful. And then from here, we're going to inhale in, keeping the knees up off the ground. And then as we exhale, we're going to reach the hips up and back, downward facing dog, taking a pedal here. And we're going to pedal it out in downward facing dog. I'm just taking my socks off while you're pedaling. Just having a nice stretch. Wonderful. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to inhale that left foot up, three-legged dog. And then as we exhale, we're going to step that left foot forward. And then we're going to inhale, drawing those hands up, coming into that high, that crescent lunge. Taking a breath here. Wonderful. Perfect. Breathing into it. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to exhale out, warrior two. Perfect. And then we're going to come into our humble warrior. So we're going to turn that left hand facing up. We're going to inhale, fingertips up to the sky, humble warrior. And maybe if you want to, bending that front knee a little bit more, lunging into it. And then exhaling back, warrior two. Perfect. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to pivot round to face the front. And we're going to have the toes pointing out. You know what's coming. We're going to swagger down into a goddess pose. This is very much quite a fast flow, guys. It's a little bit strong. So squatting down. And if it feels good, we're going to cactus our arms out either side, or equally we can keep our hands on our hips, holding it here for a beat. Wonderful. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to swivel to warrior two with our opposite leg leading. So we're going to pivot around, coming into warrior two, facing the other way. So it's your right leg now, but I'm doing it the opposite way, sorry. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to turn that right hand palm up. We're going to inhale, humble warrior. Wonderful, taking a breath here. And then exhaling back to warrior two. And then from here, we're going to inhale into that crescent lunge, having hands overhead. Perfect. And then as we exhale out, we're going to rain those hands down and coming through three-legged downward facing dog, we're going to draw that right foot up and then pedal it back down. Taking your pedal into downward facing dog. Wonderful, good. And then when we're ready, we're going to flow through that again, that little sequence again, but we're going to add a bit to it. And this time I'll mirror you guys. So I was saying, I'll look the same as you this time, so don't worry. So when we're ready from here, we're going to inhale the left foot up, three-legged dog. And then as we exhale, we're going to step that left foot forward. And then we're going to inhale up to that crescent lunge. Perfect, good. Taking a breath here. And then from here, we're going to exhale warrior two. Wonderful. And we're going to come into that reclined warrior. So having that left hand facing up, lunging maybe a little bit deeper. We're going to inhale, drawing that hand up, humble warrior. And then coming back to warrior two. Wonderful. And this time from here, we're going to pivot right round into that crescent lunge. So we're going to inhale, hands up overhead, and maybe lifting that back heel up off the ground. I'm a little bit wobbly. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to gently exhale, opening the arms out wide and twisting our torso to the left-hand side, coming into a closed twist. Perfect. And maybe folding a little bit here, bringing that right hand to the outside of that left thigh. And then we're going to inhale back up to center. And from here, we're going to exhale back out, warrior two. Perfect. And from here, we're going to pivot round, coming to face the long side of our mat. And we're going to have our toes pointing out, hands on hips. And you know what's coming. We're going to start to swagger down into that goddess pose. Wonderful, good. And then from here, we're going to do a little bit of our, so we're looking at a lot of twists. We're going to do a little bit of open twists in our goddess. So if it feels good, we're going to gently cactus our arms, and then we're going to start to bring that left elbow down towards our left inner thigh, and maybe stretching the right arm up overhead. We're going to pivot back up to center, and then we're going to take that over to the other side. Pivoting back up to center. One last time. Twisting, perfect. Back up to center. One last time, wonderful. And then back up to center. And then from here, we're going to inhale into warrior two with our right foot leading. So we're going to stretch our arms out and bringing that right toe out to face alongside the mat, reaching through our fingertips. Perfect. Wonderful. Breathing into this, taking a breath here. Glorious, guys. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to gently come into our humble warriors. I have to jump the gun then. To bringing the right palm up, maybe taking that lunge a little deeper, inhaling that arm up, maybe taking our gaze up to the fingertips there, and then inhaling back, warrior two. And then from here, we're going to pivot round into our high lunge. Wonderful. And we're going to come into our twist on this side. So as we exhale, we're going to stretch our arms out. And we're going to gently rotate our chest to the right-hand side towards that thigh. And maybe bringing our left hand to the outside of that right thigh. And then from here, we're going to come back up to center. Oh, and then we're going to exhale, raining the hands down. And then we're going to step that right foot back, three-legged dog, and then taking a pedal out here. Wonderful. And perhaps if you're feeling a little bit tired, you are more than welcome to sink down into an extended child's pose instead of downward facing dog, if that feels better for you at this moment in time. Very much listening to your body. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to gently inhale, coming back up to a tabletop pose. Wonderful. So we're going to get into that flow again, that kind of basis of that left to right. But again, so we're adding layers each time. We're going to add a couple more layers. So feel free to do the previous flow if that felt better. Feel free to adjust. But it is very much energizing today's session. So when we're ready, we're going to come through our downward facing dog, but we're going to incorporate that mini plank. So getting into our core. So tucking those toes under, inhaling in. As you exhale, engaging the core, pressing into those toes, lifting the knees up a couple of centimeters, holding it there for a couple of breaths. And then on your next exhalation, connecting to that core, reaching the hips up and back, downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Savasana. Taking a pedal. Wonderful. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to gently inhale that left foot up, three-legged dog. And if it feels better, we're going to gently open that left hip out a little bit to the left side and maybe bend that left knee, drawing that foot back towards our buttocks, taking a little hip stretch. And then we're going to rotate back round. And on the exhalation, we're going to draw that knee through. And we're going to bring that left foot down, coming into that lunge pose. Wonderful. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to inhale those arms up, coming into that crescent lunge. Perfect. And from here, I'm just rotating around so you guys can see me. We can either stretch our arms out wide, we're going to come into our twist, or equally we can bring our hands to Anjali Mudra. And as we exhale, we're going to start to fold forwards, engaging that core. And then we're going to rotate our chest towards the right. And we're going to think about bringing our elbow to the outside of our right thigh. Never leaning on it, just simply pressing. And as you're doing this, I want you to think about rooting down into that leading big toe, into that foot. Engaging that core and not leaning. Wonderful. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to come back up to center. Perfect. We're going to inhale those arms up overhead. Wonderful. We're going to exhale, warrior two. Glorious. Feeling that strength in your body. Whew. I'm feeling quite awake. And from here, when we're ready, we're going to come into a little extended side angle. So as we exhale, bringing the right hand or elbow to thigh, we're going to bring that left arm up overhead, or bringing it to our hip, coming into that extended side angle. Taking a breath here. Wonderful. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to pivot into our humble warrior. So inhaling back up, top hand up, reclining back, maybe lunging a little deeper, humble warrior. Perfect. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to come back to warrior two. Wonderful. And we're adding a bit more this time. So when we're ready from here, we're going to go back into our high lunge. So inhaling, pivoting with that back foot. And then we're going to play with warrior three if we'd like. Or equally, we're just going to step through. So if you'd like to, you can bring your hands down to Anjali Mudra or back behind And we're going to start to bring that back foot up off the ground, pressing through, coming into a little balance. Wonderful. And then bending that knee, drawing the chest up. We're going to bring that knee up in front. Perfect. And then from here, we're going to place that foot down. Inhaling in, and as we exhale, we're going to gently squat down into our Uttanasana chair pose. Perfect. Taking a breath here. Wonderful. And then when we're ready from here, from our chair pose, we're going to gently come back up to standing. And then we're going to come into a little one-legged chair pose. So we're going to gently, so I'm just thinking about it for a second. We're going to gently start to root down into our left leg, and we're going to draw our right knee up in front. And then we're going to bring that foot to the front of our thigh or shin, whatever feels better. And keeping our gaze on the spot ahead, hands on hips or Anjali Mudra, we're going to start to squat down, bending that knee and really rooting down into that foot that's on the ground. Keeping that gaze ahead. Wonderful. And then when we're ready, gently standing, perfect. We're going to then bend that knee in front, wonderful. And then we're going to place that foot back down and we're going to exhale back into that chair pose. Lovely. And again, thinking about that twist, so we're really getting into all our body. We can either keep our arms nice and long and then wide, or we can bring our hands to Anjali Mudra. But we're going to gently stretch our arms out, and as we exhale, we're going to gently rotate to the right hand side, bringing that hand to the outside of our thigh, keeping in that squat, and maybe bringing that right hand back behind. Or equally, if you prefer to, you can have Anjali Mudra and elbow to thigh. And then we're going to come back to center, and then we're going to take it to the other side. Wonderful. Whatever feels good. That is not calling to me today. Perfect. And then we're going to come back to center. Whew. And then we're going to stand up, stretching those arms up overhead. Perfect. And then bringing hands back down through the center, we come into a gentle forward fold. So maybe bending those knees, we're going to soften down, folding forward, taking a stretch here. Wonderful. And then from here, we're going to inhale into our half lift. And then from here, when we're ready, we're going to exhale back into our Uttanasana chair pose. So sinking those hips down and back behind, hands up overhead. And then we're going to straight into standing. Glorious, wonderful, guys. So when we're ready, we're going to step through that little one-legged Uttanasana to warrior 3. You do airplane if you want warrior 3. So we're going to gently start to root into that right foot this time. And we're going to draw that left knee up in front. And then opening it out, we're going to bring our ankle to the top of our thigh or shin if that feels better. And then we're going to exhale into that squat, that one-legged Uttanasana. Keeping our core engaged. Gaze ahead. And then we're going to start to straighten our right leg. And we're going to draw that left knee up in front and really flexing through our feet. Pushing into the soles of our feet. Really flexing our toes. We're going to start keeping that knee bent to push that left foot back behind. Folding forwards, coming into a warrior 3. Wonderful. And then from here, bending that right knee, we're going to place that foot back down, inhaling up, crescent lunge. Wonderful. And then we're going to exhale out, warrior 2. Perfect. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to come into a little humble warrior. So turning that right hand up, we're going to inhale, taking gaze up to fingertips, maybe lunging a bit deeper, coming back to warrior two, and then pivoting into our goddess pose. So pivoting round alongside the mat, and then gently bending those knees, squatting down. Perfect. And we're going to take it into a little twist. So many different layers, guys. So I'm giving you different options. This is a little bit hotter. So you can stay here, or you can just straighten up if that feels better. Or we can come into that twist again. So cactusing. And as we exhale, bringing elbow to thigh, stretching arms over, coming back up to center, and then taking it up over side, back up to center. Glorious. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to come into warrior two to the left-hand side, I want to say. So we're going to point the left toes forward, pivoting round into that warrior two. If I've got my left and right snuggled up, or you're going the opposite way, you want to now be facing the other short side of your mat, if that makes sense. Wonderful. And then when we're ready, you know what's coming, we're going to roll through it again. So we're going to bring that left palm facing up. Inhale, humble warrior, taking a stretch here, coming back to warrior two, and then we're going to come into our crescent. No, we're going to come into our extended side angle first, sorry. So we're going to bring left elbow to thigh, stretching that arm up over, taking a stretch here. Lovely. And then inhaling back, warrior two. Perfect. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to pivot round into our crescent lunge. Perfect. And then from here, we're going to take it into a little revolve here. So you can either bring hands to Anjali Mudra, and we're going to bring elbows to outside of thigh, or you can stretch your arms out nice and long, or equally you can do neither. So all we're going to do is, if you've got hands up overhead, we're going to exhale, rotating the chest to the left, bringing hands or elbow to the outside of that thigh, breathing into it. Wonderful. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to inhale back up into that crescent lunge. We're going to exhale back into warrior two. Perfect. And then coming into that little extended side angle again, as we exhale, right elbow to thigh, stretching that arm over, or bring that hand to the back of your back if that feels better. Back of your back. And feeling that heat in your body. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to inhale back to warrior two. Before, on our next exhalation, coming back round to our crescent lunge. And we're going to come into our warrior three now. And obviously we're doing this transition both ways. So we can bring hands to Anjali Mudra, to our hips, or we can grab something to balance. But without overthinking it, core engaging, we're going to start to gently bring that chest down and forwards and push into that back foot, drawing it up. And then when we're ready, softly bending that left knee, we're going to hinge ourselves back up, and we're going to bring that right knee up in front. Perfect, good. Before then, gently, gently, if we'd like, we're going to place that foot down, taking a stretch here for a second before coming into our Uttanasana. Wonderful. So when we're ready, as we exhale, we're going to draw those hands up, and we're going to gently squat down into our Uttanasana again. Perfect. And taking a breath here for a second. I'm just grabbing a drink. Feeling that energy in your body, saying hello to your muscles. And then from here, when we're ready, we're going to come into our twist, if that feels good. So when we're ready, either opening or not, as we exhale, we're going to gently open our chest to the right hand side and bringing either elbow or hand to the outside of that thigh, coming into that twist. Wonderful. Coming back to center, and then taking it to the other side on the exhalation, breathing into it. Glorious. And then when we're ready, coming back to center and then straightening up. Perfect. And then when we're ready, from here, we're going to come into our little one-legged Utkatasana. So when we're ready, we're going to gently bend our right knee, bringing that foot in front. And then we're going to place the ankle on the front of our shin or our thigh. And then when it feels good, we're going to gently squat down, coming into that soft one-legged Utkatasana. Keeping that gaze on a point ahead. Ooh. Wonderful. And then when we're ready, we're going to softly unfurl, bringing that foot back down. And then we're going to exhale back into that chair pose. And we're going to come into that revolving chair pose one last time. So either Anjali Mudra or hands out nice and wide. As we exhale, we're going to rotate to the right hand side, bringing hand or elbow to the outside of the right thigh. Inhaling back to center, exhaling to the left hand side. Wonderful. Inhaling back to center, and then we're going to exhale, straightening up. Oh, we're going to come into that forward fold stretch. So perhaps inhaling, drawing those hands up overhead, bringing them together down through the center and folding forwards. Really allow yourself to have this breath. Really giving yourself this rest, this breather. Pressing into the soles of your feet. Bending those knees, maybe giving yourself a hug. We've climbed to the top of the mountain, we're there. We've got one last warrior three. And then it's really starting to lower down. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to start to walk the hands back up our legs, rolling back up to standing. Perfect. And then from here, rooting down into that left foot, engaging the core, we're going to start to draw that right knee up in front, flexing the toes, using our hands. We're going to bring the ankle to the top of the thigh. And then we're going to gently squat down into that one-legged Utkatasana. Lovely. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to gently straighten. Perfect. And either placing that foot down or not, we're going to come back into our warrior three. So same again, really flexing into that foot, pushing into it. We're going to then start to hinge, as if we're donkey kicking, drawing that foot back behind, lowering the chest down, and really pushing through the sole of the foot, flaring the toes. Wonderful. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to gently lower down, coming into that high crescent lunge. And then we're going to exhale, warrior two. And then we're going to pivot round, coming to face the long side of the mat. But we are not going to say hello to goddess pose again. We're going to make our way down. So we're going to come into a lovely wide-legged forward fold. So grabbing a block if you'd like to just pop your hands on, bending your knees if you like. We're going to start to fold forward into that wide-legged forward fold. Taking a breath here. Wonderful. Just allowing everything to settle. And then when we're ready, we're going to softly, either coming through yogi squat or just kneeling, we're going to bend our knees and we're going to start to maybe walk the feet in. We're going to lower ourselves down. Oh, and then using our hands, bringing them behind us. Oh, we're going to make our way down to a seated position. Glorious. Allowing yourself a little stretch. Not allowing yourself, sorry. You should always stretch. That was really bad use of words then. I'm trying to think how to explain it. Just really allowing yourself to really sink in and enjoy it. Perfect, because you never need permission. There we go. So we're going to make our way into a couple of little cool down stretches before Shavasana. So we're going to come into just a very gentle little shoulder stretch. And we've done this before, usually for our warm up. So we're going to take our knees nice and wide. A child's pose is absolutely calling to me. Bringing toes together, we're going to sink our glutes down to our heels and kind of pressing into our fingertips. We're going to stretch our hands out in front, lowering your forehead to the ground. And then pressing into your fingertips, lifting your forehead up a little bit. We're going to bring that right hand down, and then we're going to draw that under your left elbow before then gently resting our heads on the ground. And maybe to keep that stretch, keep your fingertips plugged into the ground on your left hand, but keep your palm up off the ground. It's just creating a little bit of a stretch. And if it feels good, you can also bring that left hand up and back behind you towards your sacrum, towards your lower back. And just really, when you're comfortable, really start to allow, I'll stop saying allow, really start to soften down. Feel that breath running through you into all the different parts of your body. Feeling that stretch and that breath traveling through your shoulder blades. And then when we're ready, bringing that left hand down, we're going to gently draw our head out. We're going to stretch the right arm out. We're going to bring it over to the other side. Coming into whatever little shoulder stretch and child's pose feels good for you. And you can do it differently on either side. And then when we're ready, unfurling and gently resting our hands on the ground, maybe pressing into our fingertips. We're going to lift our hips up, off, and then walking the hands out in front, coming into a gentle extended child's pose. So extended puppy dog. Lifting hips up off glutes, hips up off heels, extended puppy dog. Feeling that breath again moving through. And then when we're ready from here, we're going to softly bring ourselves up to a kneeling position before bringing ourselves round to a gentle seated position. Wonderful. So we're going to gently start to make our way down onto our backs. I will warn you, I said 45 minutes, I'm going to overrun by about 5 minutes because it's just every time. So sorry, guys. But what I might do for this recording is just give you the opportunity to just leave you in Shavasana. So we're going to gently allow our backs to release down onto the ground. Oh, feel that weight. Feel that ground coming up to hold you. And keeping our knees bent, we're going to hug our left knee into our chest. And then maybe stretching that right leg out nice and long to the end of the mat, coming into that wind pose, circling the ankles. Just feeling your body, noticing your body start to really soften. And gently lower the energy levels from that previous slightly hotter flow. And then gently bending that right knee, we're going to take the left foot up to the sky and just do a very gentle calf stretch. Drawing that foot back as if it's going to our head just for a moment. And then we're going to gently bend that left knee and bringing that ankle to the top of that right thigh. We're going to come up into reclined pigeon or a number 4. And just holding it here again for a couple of breaths. Maybe circling your feet. And then we're going to gently release the right foot on the ground, unfurling. And then we're going to take it to the other side. So hugging that right knee into the chest, stretching that left foot out nice and long. And then gently bending that left knee, we're going to draw that right foot up to the sky, coming into a gentle hamstring stretch. And as you're doing this, just be very mindful, just do the stretch that you want. So we're not going to let our ego get involved. If you want to take a slightly deeper stretch, you can. But if your body really doesn't want it, absolutely bend that knee and don't move. And then bending that right knee, we're going to bring ankle to top of thigh, and we're going to make our way into reclined pigeon. And then when we're ready, we're going to gently unfurl, maybe hugging that knee in. And then if we haven't done so already, pulling some socks on, grabbing a blanket, we're going to make our way down to our final Shavasana. Whether we want to keep our knees bent, allow our feet to spread to the corners of the mat, or bring feet together, just do whatever calls to you. Coming into your final rest pose that feels good for you. And just taking a couple of wonderful deep breaths here. Allowing your body to really sink down and soften. And we're going to do a unguided Shavasana this time, because that can be very nice. And a lot of people actually prefer it. So just gently allowing yourself to rest down. I'm going to go quiet for a little moment, just so that you can really relax. And I'm going to very quickly and quietly bring the practice to a close. So for those that want to stay in Shavasana for longer, this won't last long, me talking. So for those that would like to bring the practice to a close, we're going to make our way up to a seated position, gently and mindfully. And bringing hands together to Anjali Mudra. up the third eye, taking a bow back down to the heart center. And thank you. Thank you so much for carving this time out of your day to join me in this yoga session. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening. Bye.